thing called ultra MAGA. I am ultra MAGA. I'm proud of it.
That's right. You are ultra MAGA. And how do you think he feels about you?
Do you see that, the three people? How good did Elise Stefanik do?
One more time.
Elise Stefanik.
Ooh, you don't know my name. Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. My name is Reese Waters, and this is Who Raised Y'all, where we highlight those unique individuals going above and beyond to make society worse. You know, the kinds of people you'll see asking to speak to the manager at the pearly gates.
It's always unconstitutional when it comes to the Republicans and black folk deciding that they're actually going to show up to the polls and not vote for racist folk such as Elise Stefanik.
Now, I first would like to offer a sincere apology to Elise Stefanik. You might recall in a past video, I referenced that she in fact hadn't seen underperforming yet, and that she would in her upcoming gubernatorial race. Whereas Kevin McCarthy was a political animal, Mike Johnson is a political novice, and boy does it show, and the House Republicans underperforming for the first time in the Trump era. Elise Stefanik, you thought that was underperforming. Wait till these votes come in on your gubernatorial election. Hey, you ain't seen underperforming yet, Elise Stefanik. Yeah, you ain't seen underperforming yet. Well, to you, Elise Stefanik, I would like to apologize. I knew it would be bad, but I didn't know it was gonna be that bad. She got packed up before Christmas. I had no idea. I think we knew Elise Stefanik had given up when we saw this picture a few days ago. Out here looking like she got on Marshall's hammer pants. Yeah, they irregular. They supposed to be big in the middle, but they big on the bottom. Either that or she about to teach me how to kickflip. Them pants came with a T-Mobile sidekick and a 6-pack of Zima. You know the Crip rats gotta be furious. All the rats that's cripping gotta be furious. All that red. Them rats been banging Crip this whole time. Now all of a sudden, it's a red new world. Like, what happened? Liza Minnelli has outlived Elise Stefanik's run for governor, her future in Congress, and at this rate, her entire political career. She's stepping down to spend more time with her tailor. Somebody need, and it should be the police. Her tailor should be arrested. That's a Class A felony right there. Either that or she, did you ask for that? Oh, well, you needed a place to hide? When they was booing you? Oh, no, you got booed twice. Yeah, that's right. You got booed twice in one day at town hall. We need to run 2 of them things.
I would like to introduce to you once again our Congresswoman from New York 21, Elise Stefanik.
This is for the Zerlo family. Thank you, Mark, for the introduction. It is humbling to be here to commemorate and honor the great John Zerlo.
That lady down there in New York, I believe she live in New York area. Elise Stefanik pants is just as long as one of the Animaniacs. Yakko, that's the one. Now, y'all know this woman loved the man with the dead hand. But she wasn't always like that. But, you know, bought and paid for. Damn, he looked like shit on this picture. And that was years ago. Oh, she loved him.
Republicans are the party of parents, of education, of small businesses, of freedom, and of family. Democrats are the party of big government socialism, creating crisis after crisis. Even after their losses, Nancy Pelosi doubled down on her agenda yet again this morning. And that is exactly why she is a lame duck Speaker of the House. Republicans have a better optimistic vision for our nation, and we will continue to talk about the issues that matter to the American people.
She dropped out today. She not gonna run for nothing. Look at this fuck shit. Oh, I knew Elise's time was up when I seen the hem and her gum. Out of there, boo, she gone. Wah, 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 wah. These people know midterms gonna tear them every which way but loose, but Yakko Stefanik should have knew she wasn't gonna win shit in New York. Go on, Elise. Get the fuck on.
Elise Stefanik becomes latest GOP lawmaker to quit. She has suspended her campaign for governor of New York. In a statement on Friday, the Republican lawmaker said that running for governor was, quote, not an effective use of our time or your generous resources. Wait a minute. No, you got that wrong. You running for governor is not an effective use of our time or your generous resources. I fixed it for you. I am truly humbled and grateful for the historic and overwhelming support from Republicans, conservatives, independents, and Democrats across the state for our campaign to save New York, noting that New York was a challenging state for Republicans. Did you say support from independents and Democrats? Huh? Is it all the support you had around your ankle in that red jumpsuit? That's the support you got from independents and Democrats. I can tell you that right now. Why are you separating independents and Democrats? Because if she had support from conservatives and Republicans like that, she wouldn't have got packed up before Christmas, like a St. Nick's gift.
Now let's look at Elise Stefanik's official statement on X, y'all. She said, while spending precious time with my family this Christmas season, I have made the decision to suspend my campaign for governor and will not seek re-election to Congress. I did not come to this decision lightly for our family. I am truly humbled and grateful for the historic and overwhelming support from Republicans, conservatives, independents, and Democrats. Now, Elise, girl, ain't no independents and Democrats in New York support you for governor, girl. Stop doing that. She goes on to say, however, as we have seen in past elections, while we would have overwhelmingly won this primary, it is not an effective use of our time or your generous resources to spend the first half of next year in an unnecessary and protracted Republican primary, especially in the challenging state of New York. Challenging for you, sis. Not for the Democrats. Girl, sayonara. Goodbye and good riddance. Bon voyage, my good sis. Goodbye. Now, Nassau County, we got to keep our good eye on Bruce Blakeman, the Nassau County executive out here on Long Island, because he entered the race last week.
The New York representative went full MAGA, but still couldn't win Trump over. While the move is surprising, given that Stefanik was once one of the GOP's rising stars, it comes after a series of snubs from President Trump. Trump had notably declined to endorse Stefanik in the race, despite her being an absolute loyalist to him since 2016. When fellow Republican Bruce Blakeman, whom Trump had previously endorsed in this race for county executive, entered the race, Stefanik's Trump endorsement went out the window. So let me get this straight. You magically decide to pack up your campaign, despite how silly this endeavor was in the first place. But when you decide to pack up your campaign is when you get some competition on the right side of the aisle that has a connection to Trump, eliminating any possibility of an endorsement. So what you're telling me is you are not capable or even willing to try and run a campaign based on Elise Stefanik. That's what you're telling me. And one of the things I have said before is Elise Stefanik might be one of the most undercovered figures in politics on this particular channel because of the level of smoke that I have for her. But I got time today. And let's start here because there's a specific brand of Karen energy that emotes from Elise Stefanik that's only found in the outer boroughs of New York and the suburbs of New Jersey. You know, the kind of people who like to bully others but run from a fight. Stefanik is such a coward, she timed her announcement nearly to the minute the Epstein files were released. 2 dumps in one day. If you include that jumpsuit, it would be 4. But you are correct on the timing. Not only did you run and hide, you tried to bury the announcement of your cowardice underneath the Epstein files, which, by the way, was something which you couldn't be bothered to try and call out and do right for victims or women anywhere. But it was useful to you as a political tool to hide your cowardice. She didn't recalibrate, she ran. First the booing, then the perfectly timed exit sank to a news dump like a magic trick. Not leadership, not courage, just cowardly choreography. And the pattern is always the same. When the room turns real, they sprint for the nearest distraction because accountability is the one stage they can't handle. So what's the brand now, Elise? Fearless fighter or professional escape artist? Now that brings me to another reason I have so much smoke for Elise Stefanik. It's not just the Karen energy or the cowardice. It is the pick me. It is the rampant, aggressive pick me. Look, I know everyone has been waiting for this Epstein files release and it's dominating attention. I'm not saying that's wrong. All I'm saying is show some respect for the sheer order and magnitude of moral failures and bad decisions that brought Elise Stefanik to this point. This much is owed by all of us. Now, previously, I had divided MAGAs into 2 camps, those that knew better and those that didn't know any better. Those that didn't know any better are people that have no business being anywhere near the seat of power, and that's its own problem. But the people that knew better and decided to hitch their wagon to Trump and MAGAdom anyway, the pick me is the only purer pick me than Elise Stefanik might be JD Vance. Be Elise Stefanik, be promised a job at the UN, resign from the House, don't get that job, run for governor of New York, drop out of the race for governor, give up. Oh no, the truth is way more trash than that. Shout out to Charlotte Clymer for this. 11 years ago, Elise Stefanik ran as a moderate and became the youngest woman ever elected to Congress at that time. Glowing media attention followed. Her future was an ongoing discussion among politicos. Some openly wondered if she might be president someday. 2 years later, she aligned herself with Trump and pledged her unfailing loyalty. Over the next decade, across the board, time after time, she abandoned her earlier political positions to get more in line with Trump. She supported him through 2 impeachments and the fallout over January 6th. Now, where was she on January 6th? Oh, under the table. Sounds about right. It'll all be worth it, right? Surely this ironclad loyalty will accelerate her up the ladder. I mean, the political exchange rate on a soul has to be pretty good. Trump returns to power and nominates her for UN ambassador. A few months later, he withdraws her nomination instead of fighting for her, claiming he needs her in Congress due to the slim majority. Now, you could be upset with him for that, Elise Stefanik, but you would have to ask yourself, when has he been known to fight for women? When has he not done the thing that was best for him, which is for you to be in Congress? Now, magically, you want him to believe you are a true MAGA, aren't you? You are a true MAGA. So she decides to run for governor of New York, an uphill battle to be sure, but she'll have the MAGA base behind her, so it's worth a shot, right? Nope, she's challenged by Bruce Blakeman, a Nassau County executive few outside of New York have ever heard of, and who has limited name recognition in New York, and who finished 3rd in a GOP primary for the Senate back in 2010. Trump could have stomped out that bid and made it clear Stefanik was his pick. He declined to throw his weight behind her. Somebody did. There were other clues, like inviting Zohran Mamdani to the Oval Office and not so subtly throwing Stefanik under the bus when asked about her vicious attacks on Mamdani. No, run the clip. No, run it. By name. By name.
Mr. President, Republican Elise Stefanik has campaigned multiple times by calling Zohran Mamdani a jihadist. Do you think you're standing next to a jihadist right now in the Oval Office?
No, I don't, but she's out there campaigning, and, you say things sometimes in a campaign.
Trump defended the mayor-elect and made Stefanik look petty and unhinged by comparison, all while Mamdani stood behind him beaming. This signals to New York Republicans that they're free to get behind Blakeman, and they do. Stefanik is left twisting in the wind and realizes her chances of winning are slim. 10 days after Blakeman's campaign launch, Stefanik announced today she's dropping her own bid and won't seek re-election to Congress. Nearly a decade of abandoning all her principles in service to Trump, and she's been left empty-handed. A Greek tragedy. Shout out to Charlotte Clymer, and I wouldn't call it a Greek tragedy, I'd call it a MAGA tragedy. And I would call it a pick-me inevitability. Because the thing is, when you compromise all of your ideals and show that you are solely and singularly focused on what's in your best interest and what would get you in proximity to power, you know what? It could work. Look at JD. But what does that signal to the people around you? Right? When you are no longer useful, what is the debt that they would have to somebody like that?
Very much.
The idea of being called ultra MAGA. I am ultra MAGA. I'm proud of it.
That's right. You are ultra MAGA. And how do you think he feels about you?
Do you see that, the three people? How good did Elise Stefanik do?
One more time.
Elise Stefanik.
You don't know my name. You know what I always say. Never give them your real name. Whoever smelt it, dealt it. Your mama? Nah. The other thing. Cheap is life. If you can't make money, and good luck with that in this economy, the next best thing is saving money. But what if you could do both? That's actually possible with Odoo's website builder, which in just a few clicks allows any person or company to create a website for free. Yes, a website to make money that you didn't spend on the website. And Odoo even offers a free custom domain name for a year and unlimited hosting and support. And what I love about Odoo is you can customize the entire layout, ranging from the text to the colors to the images, and you can even animate the elements with dynamic effects. And beyond the website builder, Odoo is an all-in-one business operations software that offers a full suite of integrated applications for memes or really just anybody looking to build a brand. And it's really simple to use. Even a Reese Waters could do it. Again, no technical skills are required. And again, it's free, so no money required either. Design your website how you want it without coding skills for free at odoo.com/r/3rg. That's odoo.com/r/3rg. Here you can access the free 15-day trial for all the products and suites Odoo has to offer. No credit card required. Go ahead and scan the QR code or follow the link below. And with that being said, let's get back to the video. Ooh, you don't know my name. Elise Stefanik, I'm doing a video about just how shameless you have been to try and uphold Trump and MAGA-dom. What I could use right here is a clip of you making excuses for him not knowing your name when you could have just said nothing. That would be great.
That isn't a mix-up. The reality is Nikki Haley.
She wasn't speaker.
Nikki Haley is relying on Democrats, just like Nancy Pelosi, to try to have a desperate showing in New York, in New Hampshire.
Wait, but he was talking about January 6th.
President Trump has not lost a step. He is a stronger candidate, stronger than he is today, than he was in 2016 and he was in 2020. Compare that to Joe Biden's weakness.
I can't tell you how disappointing
I feel every time I see her talk. She's a clown.
If you thought she was a clown then, you should see them pants, Joe and Mika. You thought she was a clown before that.
Let me ask you, though, because they quote you on a radio station calling him insulting to women. Is that a misquote? Did you not say that?
I said the statement that the Democrats leaked out in 2016, that was insulting. However, Shannon, I stood by and supported him, and I strongly support him. And he has done so much to promote women in senior positions, as well as promote women's economic opportunity that we experienced under the 4 years of his administration. So I've been proud to support him. It's a disgrace that you would take a New York Times article and just read negative quotes.
That's right. You heard it. It's a disgrace you would take a New York Times article and, read the quotes, the stuff that I said, which of course she previously said the Democrats leaked the whole New York Times article full of quotes that I said the Democrats leaked. But that wasn't my favorite part of that one. My favorite part of that one, what was that, Elise Stefanik, you said about him promoting women in senior positions? Yeah. Any of them got your name on it? Any of them at all?
And like I said a couple months ago when she announced she was running, I told you, like the rest of those governor candidates from this past election, there are a lot of people in the House of Representatives trying to get out of the House of Representatives. I think her insider trading history is about to be a really big issue because her, Mikey Sherrill, Jack Ciattarelli, of the New York, New Jersey area are all involved in the same kind of stocks. Her ties to Israel, apparently she has family members serving in the IDF. Kathy Hochul getting behind Zoran Mamdani ended her political career. And now she's going to make the whole statement about, she's making the Jane Swift excuse. And I call it an excuse because she talked such big shit a couple months ago. But she used the Jane Swift excuse about how being a mother is her most important job.
Oh, we've seen that. We've seen that from Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we've heard that from Nancy Mace and Mike Lawler and a great number of them. Oh, yeah. I think a couple of them might have snuck out in Elise Stefanik's pants.
I don't doubt that. I respect the out of that. But the only thing is, Elise Stefanik had she talks such a big game. She's the Republican Beto O'Rourke, okay? Beto O'Rourke's stance on guns is very similar to her stance on anti-Semitism. Americans are not interested in it. It's faux outrage. It's selective outrage. She's the queen of selective outrage. I guarantee you she's going to get a job in the Trump White House. Caroline Leavitt is going to leave as press secretary, and she's going to step right in. That's my guarantee, because she has the history to back it up. And I guarantee you Caroline Leavitt, her old-ass husband, is going to want her ass back home, too. So, guarantee you, she's going to replace Caroline Leavitt.
Oh, please. Please do that. Please. They have made a lot of unforced errors. The Trump administration has made a ton of unforced errors. But choosing Elise Stefanik as the face, as the person that is supposed to put a happy face on this nonsense from this administration would be chef's kiss. Please do that. Please, by all means, do that. And not only that, leak out to her that you going, hey, Elise, they think they got something. Stay close. No, keep your hopes up. Keep your hopes up, because the last thing I would want is for you to do some soul searching and come out of this a better person. No, we want this to drag on as long as humanly possible.
Dr. Gay, a Harvard student calling for the mass murder of African Americans is not protected free speech at Harvard, correct?
Our commitment to free speech.
It's a yes or no question. Is that corrected? Is that okay for students to call for the mass murder of African Americans at Harvard? Is that protected free speech?
Our commitment to free speech.
It's a yes or no question.
Which brings me to probably the most significant reason why I have so much smoke for Elise Stefanik, because we talked about the cowardice and the Karen energy, and we talked about her pick-me-ism. But if you were to combine all of that, what you get is a woman completely devoid of principles or accountability, who chooses to punch down. I have no respect for women like Elise Stefanik, who step on other women to end up in a position behind mediocre white men. And you know what? They just get more mediocre. They just get, because you used to be behind Mike Johnson. Now you behind something called Blakeman. They just get more mediocre. That's what you did. Elise Stefanik claims to be a blue-collar underdog despite private school and her parents buying her a DC townhouse when she was 26. As Elise explains, I'm poor inside. Now, my own personal ethos would not allow for me just to drag somebody on those grounds alone. I went to private school after all. No. That in and of itself is actually a blessing. It's when you take that blessing and decide it imbues you with some inherent goodness and power over others who you victimize just for not having the blessing that you were given. And you get Elise Stefanik, the DEI warrior.
A deliberate, very public right-wing campaign to topple her career and to send a clear message in doing so. That campaign was led by this guy, Christopher Rufo. He's a prominent and influential conservative activist. For years, Rufo's explicit goal has been to eradicate critical race theory, which he deliberately confuses with DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives from, quote, every institution in America, end quote. He acknowledges that the highly coordinated campaign to force Claudine Gay to resign from Harvard was a three-pronged attack. That's what he told Politico's Ian Ward last week. Quote, this really was a team effort that involved three primary points of leverage. First was the narrative leverage, and this was done primarily by me, Christopher Brunette, and Aaron Sabarium. Second was the financial leverage, which was led by Bill Ackman and other Harvard donors. And finally, there was the political leverage, which was really led by Congresswoman Elise Stefanik's masterful performance with Claudine Gay at her hearings. In reality, those hearings were a trap. And that's where Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik comes in. She asked Gay whether, quote, calling for the genocide of Jews violated Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment, end quote. All three presidents said in one way or another that it would depend on the context. This answer was widely condemned, deemed by experts to be legally correct but lacking in empathy. Penn's Elizabeth McGill resigned not long after the hearing. Sally Kornbluth of MIT is still in her post, and Claudine Gay lived to fight another day at Harvard, that is, until Christopher Rufo dispatched the next prong in his plan. Now, put a pin in that for a moment. I want to point out the irony of Elise Stefanik's political theater during that hearing. Stefanik is an ardent supporter of Donald Trump, a man with a long history of using anti-Semitic tropes. He invited the anti-Semite Kanye West and the Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes to dine with him. Bill Ackman is an American billionaire hedge fund manager and a Harvard alum. Ackman started calling for Claudine Gay's resignation and threatening to pull his donations from the university over her response to the October 7th Hamas attack. He called on the university to release the names of students who signed a pro-Palestinian statement in order to get them blacklisted from future jobs, stating none of the companies which he controls will hire a student who had signed the statement, and nor should others. On December 7th, Ackman suggested Dr. Gay was a diversity hire. He said in part, quote, I learned from someone with first-person knowledge of the Harvard president's search that the committee would not consider a candidate who did not meet the DEI office's criteria. He added, shrinking the pool of candidates based on required race, gender, and or sexual orientation criteria is not the right approach to identifying the best leaders for our most prestigious universities. And it is also not good for those awarded the office of president who find themselves in a role that they would likely not have obtained were it not for a fat finger on the scale. Ackman brought Stefanik and Rufo's allegations, anti-Semitism and diversity, together in another 400-word screed on X in which he takes aim at Harvard's DEI movement, saying that it is, quote, the root cause of anti-Semitism at Harvard, end quote. Here are some more greatest hits from Ackman's rambling post. Quote, DEI is racist because reverse racism is racism even if it's against white people. And quote, having a darker skin color, a less common sexual identity, and or being a woman doesn't make one necessarily oppressed or even disadvantaged.
Now, the absurdity of the DEI hunt was apparent to me and a great number of us at the time. That's why I talked about it at the time. I had no idea that it was all going to fall apart this quickly, but here's the thing, Elise Stefanik. An interesting thing happened when I was preparing for this video. So I was on Twitter and I was looking up content to drag you with, and I came across this video from DC's outgoing police chief, Pamela Smith.
Never would I compromise my integrity. Never would I compromise 28 years in law enforcement for a few folk who couldn't stand to be held accountable. And if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it again. So I'm going to the Bible when I say this to my haters. F you. The same folks who said in that report that they changed their numbers, and I did not. The report is very clear. I did not direct anyone. You should investigate those folks.
I don't know what part of the Bible that was in. That must be in 2 Corinthians. That must be in 2 Corinthians. But what I saw was post after post after post calling Pamela Smith DC's DEI police chief. Just post after post after post. A lot of them worded the exact same, literally just a copy paste, which shows the level of authenticity and conviction behind those posts. Thanks for coming, Twitter. But this is the thing. It got me to thinking, what would be the reasons why they would call somebody like Pamela Smith a DEI? Because she's black. That's good answer. Good answer. Anybody else? Because she's a woman. Also a good one. Also a good one. Okay, her sexual orientation. I don't know her sexual orientation, but certainly there was a lot of supposition that she was in the LGBT community. That is a good one. Now, here's the question, Elise Stefanik. If she were just in the LGBTQ community, would she be considered a DEI? Yes, she would. We've seen that from you before. How about if she was just black? Goes without saying, right? Goes without saying, right? Okay, last but not least, if she was just a woman, would she be considered DEI? She would. A number of white women learned that the hard way with the anti-DEI pushes, as well as when anything public happens and they have an opportunity to rail against the persecution of white men. Now, here's an interesting thing, Elise Stefanik, because if every other group has to deal with some sort of a widespread condemnation of everybody in that group whenever anything public catches MAGA's attention and they decide to make it an issue, except for white men who get to fail with impunity, well, that lightness and that freedom would be quite an advantage, now wouldn't it? That would be quite an advantage. And those are the same ones who get to call everybody else a snowflake and talk about how they are persecuted despite never having to suffer the darts and arrows from people like you. And you did it as a member of one of those groups. So let's land the plane here, because all of the bots and the trolls on the right wing were calling out DC's DEI police chief. And by the way, I'm not speaking on that case whatsoever, but the point being, they're not actually speaking on that case either. They just see a black woman. So in the event when anybody gets into any amount of trouble, they get to rail against DEI. Whenever anybody flames out spectacularly, embarrassing themselves publicly, they rail against DEI. So what was this, Elise Stefanik? What was this? I mean, the last decade for you, but certainly the last year. What would that make you? For Blakeman, right? For Blakeman, yeah. Blakeman, he definitely not a DEI. He definitely not a DEI. So yeah, that chicken came home to roost. Congratulations. You played yourself.
Don't ever play yourself. Don't ever play yourself. Don't ever play yourself. Don't ever play yourself. Congratulations, you played yourself.
She also played her living room curtains. You're not supposed to be wearing those out in public like that. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I am truly happy you're here. I would never do you like Target.
I'm so excited to show you what I got in my Target grab bag this year. I waited all night so I could get this. Okay, so the first thing I got was, they hate you.
So I made sure I pushed out those merch discount codes for the peoplesgetup.com and reesewaters.com to all the people in deep waters and troubled waters. That also goes for the people that are a part of our Patreon. Oh, that's right. We also have a Patreon. All of the benefits listed mirror those here on membership on YouTube, in addition to the weekly newsletter. Let's see what we got here. Trump's protective bubble may be popping. That's not the only thing popping. This Leto fight banquet about to be lit. I can tell you that right now. Yes! Yes! If you want to get the weekly newsletter, you can sign up for it at patreon.com/ReeseWaters. And if you want to sign up for the monthly newsletter, that's over at reesewaters.com. Now, we are in end of year award season, and I want to hear from you. So be on the lookout on the community tab, as well as my lives, for polls that will help me weed through the nomination process. And I would say 2025 has been the year of FAFO, has it not? I would say so, which makes this particularly appropriate. Hello, my FAFO shirt just arrived and I had to get some pics. Also, my daughter wanted to show off her Labubu because her MAGA mom forbids them for being demonic. So, of course, Daddy got her one. LOL. I hope you're having a great week, from my man, Jared. Now, Jared, shout out to you. I love the FAFO gear as well as the Labubu, but YouTube doesn't love showing kids. They definitely don't love showing kids. And I would also say that you said her MAGA mom. You know how litigious they be. Hey, tell your daughter I said respect. Much love. Speaking of respect and love, the last time I was here, I highlighted someone who asked me if they had to be a member to purchase merch and lamenting they wish that they could do more. Well, guess what I received immediately after that? Hi, Reese. I would like to help the 66-year-old lady who wanted merch but thought she needed to be a member. I'd like to buy her the items she wanted. Is this possible? I can be anonymous and don't need to know her address. Thank you for being a bright spot in these dark, dark days. I'm a subscriber and I watch all of your videos. Now, I won't include the name because that person did say that they could be kept anonymous. But what I will say is, just as I said the first time, that it's that kind of love that is so much more significant than any financial contribution might be. Here is another example of that, and is the connectiveness and the strength of the bond in this community that has truly transformed not only my life, but what I even thought was possible in this particular space. So I want to thank you, and I would like to offer you both the item of your choice. I'll be reaching out to both of you in the nature of paying it forward. Maybe we can start a whole pay forward chain, and then everybody pays for the next. That would get messy because I'm cheap, so I can only imagine how cheap some of the people who follow me be. That's going to be a whole mess. Y'all know who you are.